So in the past I've done 2 videos where I've got you guys to sort of help me out, it's a chance for you to interact with the channel, and those were a Q&A video where I got you guys to ask some questions, about me in terms of theme park related aspects of my life, non-theme park related aspects of my life. And I also did an assumptions video where basically the concept was the same, except it was assumptions about myself, where you guys sent in assumptions and I basically for each one explain where it's true or false. Today I'm filming a would you rather video, and I'm doing this because the other videos just went down so well, and I thought, I've not done one like this in a couple of months, not done a video this style, so I've decided it's time for another video like this one. And today it's would you rather. I got you guys to send in different options via Instagram, and basically I'm going to be going through each person's options, each set, and saying which I'd rather, or prefer to do or whatever, and basically the reasons behind that. Again, some of these theme park related, and then there's also a few non-theme park related ones. As is the case with the previous video, I'm going to be displaying each of the question stickers on the screen so that you guys can basically read them, and above each question sticker I'm going to be displaying each person's Instagram name so that you guys can go and follow them if you want to, because these accounts do deserve some support. A lot of them are theme park accounts, so I'm going to be putting them up there as well. But without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first would you rather comes from Austin_2020, and he says, would you rather Thorpe Park get an RMC? Oh, for goodness sake, not a mention of a Thorpe Park RMC again. Or would I rather it get the tallest B&M Giga Coaster? Now, a lot of you guys are going to probably hate me for this, but I'd honestly rather Thorpe got a Giga Coaster than an RMC, to be honest. I don't know, I think it'd be incredible to have a coaster of that height in the UK. I mean, you could do an RMC Giga Coaster, I suppose, which would be even better, but I don't know, I just think that, especially in terms of the general public as well, or non-enthusiasts should I say, the more respectable way of putting it, I just think that a coaster of 300 plus foot would be more oppressive and stand out more than a hybrid coaster. Because I mean, we sort of do already have a hybrid coaster in the UK with us having the Ultimate. I know an RMC is on another level and a much better type of coaster. Although saying that, I'm assuming RMC hybrid, you could say RMC single rail and the same thing, but I don't know. I mean, you could have an RMC Giga, I suppose. There's not an RMC Giga out there currently, which you could have. I mean, I'd prefer a Giga at Thorpe Park, but I don't think Thorpe Park would have the room for a Giga. I mean, an RMC in itself is, an unlikely option, because I mean, there's so many different coasters they could have. I think if we were to have an RMC in this country, it would be a while until we got that, because there's just so many options out there. In terms of coasters, I'm not sure it's what they'd go for, but it would be a good marketing sort of campaign for Merlin if they did it, and I'm sure that they'd attract a lot of people, the first single rail coaster or whatever. A hybrid might be a bit more difficult to market, but a Giga certainly wouldn't be that hard. But I mean, I don't think I could see a Giga Coaster at any UK park, or any of the major ones anyway, because I mean, Blackpool, you wouldn't be able to fit it in there. I don't think you'd be able to fit it in Thorpe either. And Alton Towers, you can only build below tree height because of, the restrictions, so that it just would never happen at Alton Towers. So I mean, yeah. In terms of an RMC, while also highly unlikely, I think it is more likely that the UK would get an RMC than a Giga Coaster. Unless obviously you're talking about an RMC Giga Coaster, because I mean, you could, there's nothing to say you'd have to build it 300 foot. You could build it smaller than that, and you could build it anywhere. So I would prefer a Giga, but I think an RMC is more realistic for the UK. But honestly, I would think an RMC would fit better into Towers than Thorpe Park, in terms of where, just because you know, with Towers you'd be able to do more stuff with the terrain and stuff, whereas Thorpe Park's all flat and Towers is quite hilly. But yeah, then again, you've got planning permission and that's a pain at Towers. So yeah, I don't know, I'd rather have a Giga Coaster, but I think it is the less likely option. I don't think it'd be difficult to get either into Towers, even though an RMC would fit better, and then Thorpe Park wouldn't fit a Giga, but I would prefer it. So I'm waffling on now. RMC would be the more realistic option, but a Giga Coaster, just the fact it's so huge, would be my preferred option if I had the choice, and if, you know, either would be possible. So yeah, on to the next Would You Rather. So the next Would You Rather then comes from Jason22_88, and he said, would you rather have toes for fingers or fingers for toes? Yeah, this is an interesting one. I'm gonna have to think about this a bit actually. Toes for fingers. I mean, then your fingers would be really short, I guess, because your toes are longer than your fingers. I don't think that'd be ideal, really. Wouldn't be very practical. And then fingers for toes, that could, like, improve your grip, I guess. So, like, I don't know, climbing trees or whatever would be fun. You know, just climbing anything, because, I mean, who wouldn't want to climb something? I don't know. It's a bit of a random one, this one. But, you know, I said theme park related or non-theme park related, so... yeah, I think really I'd rather have fingers for toes. Yeah, please. Yeah, it's so confusing, this. Yeah, fingers for toes, then you basically have long toes, which would, you know, it could be practical. Whereas I don't think toes, fingers would be as practical. So, yeah, anyways, thank you for that Would You Rather. So the next Would You Rather comes yet again from Jason22_88, and this time he said, would you rather visit European parks or American parks? Now, this is one I've actually been thinking a lot about lately, because, you know, when I first started doing some research and watching some videos about American parks, you know, my first sort of impressions and thoughts were, you know, wow, they've got so many huge coasters in America, all the hyper coasters, all the giga coasters. It's just such, you know, a coaster heavy place, really. But then when you think, I think back to it in the European parks, they also have quite a lot of coasters. I would say the American parks have more tall coasters, but, you know, they do have a lot of coasters at European parks. You know, we've got places now like Energylandia, which is literally like the European equivalent of Cedar Point with, you know, the coasters they've got so much. And although some European parks are more sort of about the experience and theming than the coasters, you know, there are some out there that have both. And, you know, for me, I'm more of a kind of rides person than a theming person. You know, I obviously love the Disney parks, but yeah, I think definitely next time I go to Orlando, I'm going to be doing SeaWorld and Busch Gardens parks as well, just to get those coasters in there, really, because obviously the Disney parks don't have that many coasters, and, you know, Universal has Hulk and stuff, which is, you know, Hulk's a brilliant coaster. It has Hagrid's as well, but I'd love to do some more American coasters. So definitely next time I go to Florida, I'll be doing SeaWorld and Busch Gardens to get those in. But overall, I think I'd rather just do the European parks, because the overall experience there looks better, and, you know, at all of them, you know, they're just better presented overall, really, than the American parks, which all feel very, very similar, you know, as opposed to European parks, which I feel like every European park feels quite different to another. But yeah, I think I'd, you know, go to the European parks to get both some great coaster credits and, you know, a good overall experience if I had the choice. I'd say the exception to that would be Cedar Point in Ohio, because that just looks like an amazing park, you know, with some good theming in places as well. And it's just a very well presented park compared to the majority of the American parks, really. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about that one. The next Would You Rather then comes from Coaster Thrills, and he says, would I rather spend an entire day riding my least favourite roller coasters, so Infusion pretty much, or watching my least favourite movie? Now, I don't really have a least favourite movie, but I think if I did, and this may surprise some of you, you know, I've not been able to go to parks, a lot of you know, because I'm at high risk from coronavirus, and I'm honestly at the point now where I'd ride any coaster, like literally if I could. So I'm actually gonna say, and I know it might be painful, I'd rather ride Infusion all day right now than watch my least favourite movie, because I've been without parks for so long. You know, just even walking back into Pleasure Beach again, and even, you know, getting on Infusion, as much as it's painful, I just like to do it, to get on a coaster again. You know, I'm sure it'd be very painful riding it all day. I'm sure I'd have a headache for days afterwards, but to just see Pleasure Beach again from the inside. Like, I've seen it from the outside. Those of you who have been watching my Instagram will know I have been to Pleasure Beach and seen it from the outside. I've stood on Ocean Boulevard and seen it. You know, I've walked up and down Ocean Boulevard just to kind of see the whole thing again. But yeah, definitely I'd rather ride Infusion right now than watch my least favourite movie all day. You know, have a massive ERS on Infusion, have the whole park to myself for a day, and just be able to ride that coaster safely. You know, if I could, it'd be Icon I'd ride all day, but you know, in this sort of would you rather situation, if I had a choice between my least favourite coaster and my least favourite movie, right now it'd be my least favourite coaster. I think if parks were open and if I could like go the next day or whatever, you know, to ride Icon and the other rides at Pleasure Beach, I would say least favourite movie. But at the moment, you know, Pleasure Beach closed the whole park down for a day, you know, and let me on Infusion all day, because I'd honestly rather do that than watch my least favourite movie right now. But that's just my mindset, you know. When I can go back to parks again, whenever that is, I'm sure, you know, I'd be giving you a completely, no, I am sure I'd be giving you a completely different answer to this. But, you know, just right now, get me on Infusion, even though it's like the most painful thing ever. The next then comes yet again, and thank you for sending so many in, from Jason22_88, and he says, would I rather visit space or the deepest part of the ocean? I mean, well, listen to this music and watch this footage, because I think that'll give you your answer. But yeah, I'd rather go to space, to be honest. Like, I don't know what, I don't know, just being able to like float around and whatever. I just think it'd be more interesting than the bottom of the ocean, to be honest. Like, I don't know, it's just my opinion on it all. But yeah, again, another random one, but I said that these could be on anything, so yeah. You know, it's not meant to be a serious video, this, at all. It is meant to be a casual video. You know, my top 10s and stuff are a bit more informative than this, but you know, it's how it's meant to be. But yeah, that's all that I can really say about that. I just think space would be more interesting than the deepest part of the ocean, just because, you know, the lack of gravity and stuff. I don't know, yeah. But anyway, on to the next one. The next would you rather and final one from Jason22_88 is, would I rather do a sit down drop tower or a stand up drop tower? Now, this is a bit of a hard one to judge, because I've not really done any drop towers. I've done like Tower of Terror at the Disney parks. I've done some shot towers, having done Ice Blast at Blackpool Pleasure Beach and Doctor Doom's Fearfall at Universal Islands of Adventure, but drop towers I'm not really done any. Next year, I'll say now, I am actually hoping to go to Fort Park. I've mentioned this before, but it is looking that that might be a possibility if things die down. So obviously I'll be getting on Detonator there, their sit down drop tower. And then obviously Drayton Manor, I have been there before a long time ago. I've obviously never done a video there because it was before ThrillNet existed. I've done, or I haven't done Apocalypse there because I was quite young at the time. And that's obviously a mixture of, you know, sit down drop towers and stand up drop towers in one attraction. But I don't know, just they look pretty terrifying drop towers. I'm not that scared to do one. Like, I will admit that I'm probably more nervous for Stealth at Thorpe Park than Detonator, and I know a lot of people will probably say that they're more nervous to do Detonator, but I don't know, I'm just not that nervous for the drop towers. But honestly, a stand up one, I think I would be really nervous to do. Like, I don't know, just having, yeah, I think it'd be really weird. I mean, comment down below anyone who's done a stand up drop tower what it's like, but I feel like it'd just be so weird. You know, yeah. So yeah, I think I'd rather do a sit down drop tower. I think I'd be very nervous if I was to ever do a stand up one. But maybe one day I'll end up doing a stand up one, who knows. The next comes from the one and only, my good friend Josh from Theme Park Mad. And he says, would you rather ride the Smiler or Infusion? Josh, are you serious? Do you really think I think the Smiler is going to be that bad? Because if you do, you're wrong. Like, I know I do slate it quite a bit in terms of its theme because I'm not a big fan, as much as I do think the Marmalizer structure does look quite cool. I'm just not a fan of the overall theme of the Smiler. For those who don't know, I've not actually ridden the Smiler yet. It's the one credit at Alton Towers I still need to get. It was broken down the last couple of times I went for the majority of the day, so I didn't get on it even though I wanted to. And then in terms of Infusion, I have ridden that and it's awful. Both rides look rough, I've said this before, especially the final few inversions on this Smiler. I'm really not looking forward to them. And then Infusion, yeah, although the Smiler does look rough, I doubt it will be as bad as Infusion, because, I mean, basing off what people say, there's definitely more people that tolerate the Smiler than tolerate Infusion, from people I've spoken to anyway. I mean, even Josh says Infusion is rough, and trust me, Josh does not find that many rides rough, so that just proves that Infusion really is a rough coaster. But yeah, definitely rather ride the Smiler. I'm sure I will rate it higher than Infusion. You know, I've said before, I reckon it'll be in my number 3 in the Big 7. So, although I don't think it'll be like my favourite ride or a top coaster or anything, I do think it'll be quite good overall in terms of a ride. It's just that for me, you know, it doesn't have that much variety in its elements. It has, obviously, it's very heavily based on inversions because, you know, it is a world record coaster, and it does have those 2 airtime moments which do look really good, I'm not gonna lie, but apart from that, it doesn't have many other turns and stuff, which is why I like Icon, because, you know, it has so many different like twists and turns and airtime hills. You know, it's got a few airtime hills, and then obviously technically one inversion, but we won't get into that debate now. And that's really why I like Icon so much, because it's, you know, it's an all-around coaster, whereas the Smiler isn't really that, to be honest. Anyway, I'd definitely rather ride the Smiler than Infusion. The next comes yet again from Josh from Theme Park Mad, and this time he says, would you rather ride the Smiler or go in Passage del Terra? Are you... Oh, for goodness sake. Like, Josh, okay, you know, I'm not nervous to go on the Smiler, can I just put it out there? I'm not nervous to go on it. If it was 2018 right now, then yeah, I'd be nervous to go on it, but I've ridden so many coasters now, I'm not nervous to go on it. It's just that, you know, I don't think it'll be that amazing a ride, and I think people take that automatically as the fact I'm not been on it and I'm saying it don't think it'll be amazing is because I'm nervous to go on it, and just won't admit that I'm nervous to go on it, which isn't the case. I'm definitely more nervous for stuff like Stealth at Thorpe Park than the Smiler, but I do want to go on Stealth, I'd say more than the Smiler, because I just think I'll rate it higher. Which sounds stupid because it's just a top hat and an airtime hill, but I love airtime and I love speed more than I love inversion. So yeah, but anyway, you know, Passage del Terror, for those who don't know, it's a scare maze outside Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I've never done a scare maze before, and it's something I'm terrified to do because, you know, from what I have seen of horror, which isn't that much, I'm not a fan. So yeah, I'm really nervous to do that. I'm more nervous to do Passage del Terror than any coaster in the UK that I've not already done, put it that way. So yeah, definitely rather going on the Smiley than do Passage del Terror. I know I'll get forced in Passage del Terror at some point by, you know, Josh, Danielle, Amelie, even Kirsten, because she's into horror. You know, I'm gonna get forced in at some point, I know that, but yeah, I'd much rather go on the Smiler than do that, put it that way, because the Smiler isn't actually something I'm nervous to do, unlike Passage del Terror. Brill National says, would you rather make short videos or long videos? Yes, this is a reference to the fact that people want me to make shorter videos in general, or a couple of people anyway, this guy being one of them. Well, I don't have a preference, it's what you guys want. The reason I'm trying to make my videos shorter, or aiming to anyway, is because you guys want it, and obviously you guys are the viewers and I want to satisfy you guys. I honestly don't care how long or short my videos are, to be honest. Only advantage of doing short videos for you guys is that means there's less editing to do, so yeah, I guess that's a bit of a winner. So that's an advantage to doing short videos, but yeah. In terms of how easy it is to do short videos, it's definitely easier to do longer ones and ramble on and stuff. I'm really going to have to start, you know, cutting more bits out of videos to do, you know, to make them shorter. But then when it's like me and Kirsten recording, we do often get carried away, so I can't promise that those videos will be shorter, but definitely everything else will try and make them shorter. You know, it's because Kirsten's too busy, you know, trolling me and bullying me and whatnot. Yeah, you know you do, Kirsten. If you're watching this, you know you do those things and that how much you enjoy doing it. But yeah, she thinks it adds, you know, entertainment to the video, which it does, to be fair. But you know, she just wants to embarrass me, guys. She really does. She wants to embarrass me on my own channel. But yeah, if there's like lots of trolling and stuff in videos, they are going to be longer. But yeah, you know, just grab some popcorn, grab a cup of coffee or whatever you want to drink, and sit back and enjoy them. But yeah, I am going to try and make my videos shorter in general, because it's what you guys seem to want. But I honestly don't mind either way. But yeah. The next would you rather then comes from the person in the community with the best Instagram name ever, and that is Theme Park Ben. And he says, would you rather be a member of Coastography or a leader of Coastography? Now, to put this into context for anyone who's not heard of Coastography, it's essentially a coaster club on Instagram that's free to join. It's currently full at the moment. I believe there's a waiting list, so if any of you want to join it, you'll have to basically, you know, there's an account actually. I'll put it on the screen now. I suggest you message them, or they may have a link to like a waiting list thing you can sign up to. But yeah, and when I say a club, it's pretty much a group chat really. And I've not been in it for that long, but I believe they do meetups and stuff like that. But because of the COVID situation at the moment, that's not really been a thing. And then we had the storms earlier in the year, which has affected it all. So yeah, there's not been that much going on in terms of that. But I mean, would you rather be a member or a leader? Well, I'm already a member of it. In terms of being a leader, I think, you know, it'd be a cool thing to do. I think I could, you know, I'd certainly like bring some stuff there, you know, bring some northernly spirits to Coastography. Why not? Arrange a meetup at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, you know, let's do a monthly meetup at Blackpool Pleasure Beach, you know, with all the northern enthusiasts and anyone else who wants to get there, you know. And I mean, they've done other things in Coastography before, other fun things like quizzes and stuff. You know, I definitely look at doing some more of that sort of stuff. you know, bringing people together in the community if I was a leader of coastography. But yeah, Jake from Theme Park Jake, Ella from Theme Park United, Tilly from Capturing Thrills. That is my application to become a coastography club leader. I hope you enjoyed listening to this application, and I hope I become successful soon. The final Would You Rather then comes from Josh_Hall132, and he says, would you rather ride the Big Dipper at Blackpool Pleasure Beach for a season, or the Incredible Hulk at Universal Islands of Adventure for a lifetime? Now, that is basically asking, would you rather ride an average coaster, you know, average UK coaster that's a little rough in places for a whole season, or would you rather ride, you know, an amazing, you know, top class, in my opinion, out of those that are ridden roller coaster for a lifetime? Because for those who don't know, the Hulk is my number 2 coaster. It may well be my number 1 because I only rode it once when I was on my trip. I only got to ride it once on my Florida trip back in January, and I was quite ill at the time. Although I was feeling not too bad that day, but you know, still I really enjoyed it. It may well top Icon, but I've not really ridden it enough to get a fair judgment of that. At the moment it is my number 2, but it may well top it. You know, I came off it thinking it's my number 2, but I mean, in my opinion anyway, you need to ride a coaster a good 3 or 4 times often to be sure of where you rank it. So it may well be my number 1 coaster, but for now Icon's still up there. But yeah, I'd much rather ride that for a lifetime than Big Dipper all season. Because I mean, if I rode Big Dipper all season, I'd be battered and bruised to bits, but Hulk is pretty smooth, so if I rode that all season, I'd probably be fine. I might have a bit of a headache because there's the odd slight headbang, it can rattle a bit in places. There's definitely B&M's that I'd say is smoother, but overall it is a pretty smooth coaster, to be honest. So yeah, and it's brilliant, it's amazing. Although it's inversion focused and I generally prefer airtime, it does have some very good speed which I enjoy, and yeah, I just really enjoy it. You know, it's smooth and fun, intense and fast, which are all good qualities for a coaster to have. Make sure you subscribe and click the bell to enable notifications so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. I really want to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. It is ambitious, but I reckon it's achievable with you guys' help. Yeah, and give this video a like if you enjoyed it, and comment down your thoughts in the comments below to some of the would you rather you know, options covered in this video and which ones you prefer. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.